Alright, so all of Dillian Whyte's Vada tests for the Rivas fight have come back clean. It's the Battle Camp. Please hit the subscribe button. You'll find it in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. The plot thickens. So we know before the fight with Rivas, all of the Vada tests that Dillian Whyte took were clean. We now know that his post-fight test was also clean. The problem is, UKAD and Vada are obviously two totally independent organisations. If you go on their website, you'll probably see that both of them have separate lists of prohibited substances that differ from each other. Billy Joe Saunders was a victim of this. So in the build-up to the Andrade fight, he failed a Vada or WADA test for a substance that wasn't prohibited by UKAD. Now, when it comes to this Dillian Whyte situation, what I don't quite understand is he had this hearing, and from what Eddie Hearn's been saying, is the evidence that he provided included the tests from Vada. But if Vada are using different set of processes and tests than UKAD, then how is that relevant? More importantly, the British Board of Boxing Control, their primary agency for drug testing is UKAD. So why are they putting more credence in what Vada have to say than what UKAD have to say? Now, it could be that the drug or the substance is prohibited for both Vada and UKAD. And so that then makes the Vada sample or the Vada results relevant, because, you know, he's failed for UKAD, but Vada have done the same test and he's clean there. Does that make sense? It's all a bit confusing. It's all a bit messy because there's so many different parties involved. My personal feeling is I don't feel like they did a full and thorough investigation as to how that substance got into Dillian Whyte's body. And because they didn't do that, and I don't feel like they had enough time to do that, given the fact that he failed that test a couple of days before the actual fight, I don't feel like that fight should have gone ahead. And I feel like the fact that it's gone ahead and that this news has come out has actually worked against Dillian Whyte. Now, I totally understand why UKAD choose to keep this confidential, and I'll get to that in a bit. But I don't believe, and I don't know this for sure, obviously, but I don't believe that anyone has come to a conclusion why that substance was in Dillian Whyte's body. And until they come to that conclusion, I don't feel like they're in a position to allow him to fight. Now, I'm not being a hater, because I had tickets for this fight. I went to the fight, and I would have been pissed off if, due to his confidentiality reasoning, they put out a statement and said Dillian Whyte hurt himself. Dillian Whyte's not feeling well. He's have to pull out the fight. I'd have been pissed off. But I think until they actually got to the bottom of how it got into him, this substance, I don't think you've got a leg to stand on from a moral standpoint to let this fight go on. Now, with the confidentiality thing, if you watched videos on my channel previously, you'll see that I'm a big MMA fan, and I feel like the UFC are years ahead of boxing when it comes to testing fighters for drugs. A couple of years ago, they employed USADA to randomly drug test all of the fighters on their roster. And initially, the process used to be, as soon as a, quote, adverse finding was found in your sample, they would make that public knowledge immediately. Fighter A has tested positive for substance B, and he's suspended until he has his hearing. The UFC and USADA recently, well, I want to say recently, probably about a year ago, changed that process. They decided to keep it confidential until the fighter has had their hearing, because when the fighter was going to court or tribunal or wherever they were going to have this hearing, a number of fighters were coming out innocent. So they decided it's not really fair on the fighter to taint them with this drugs brush when they haven't had a chance to defend themselves. An example of this is a fighter called Yoel Romero. If you Google Yoel Romero, he's built like a fucking Greek god. And everybody in MMA had their suspicions about Yoel Romero, how he's got that physique. And everyone thought he's definitely on something. So when he popped, 2 and 2 made 4. And it made total sense. Everyone was like, okay, well, I'm not surprised. What ended up happening was Yoel Romero submitted all of the supplements that he was taking to be independently analysed. And it actually came back that one of the supplements he was taking was tainted. The ingredients that were on the box of the supplement isn't what was in the actual supplement. And one of the ingredients in the supplement was a PED that he was totally unaware of. So he was exonerated and he was cleared and he was able to continue his career. Now, I'm not saying for 100% certain this is the situation that Dillian Whyte's in, but I'm just giving you an example as to why it makes sense to keep it confidential until a fighter's had a hearing. In this case, they were able to prove that, okay, this substance was in a system, but this is why it was in a system, because he was taking a supplement that was tainted. Another thing to look at is John Jones. John Jones tested positive for a PED, and with that, they still allowed him to fight. And the reason they allowed him to fight is because they said this metabolite is likely to stay in your system for up to 7 years. And the volume of this metabolite in his system, or the amount of this metabolite, I don't know what the technical word for it is, but whatever that metabolite in his system was, although it's a quote-unquote illegal substance, it's not enough to give him an edge. Whatever it is, the amount of it in his system isn't enough to make him a better fighter, i.e., it's not performance enhancing. Now, I'm not saying this is the situation that Dillian Whyte's in, but it's something to consider. The only way Dillian Whyte's going to be able to clear his name in the court of public opinion is if he's able to prove that he ingested a tainted supplement and he didn't willingly and knowingly take a PED. But the whole situation and the way it's been managed, I feel like it's been mismanaged. The final thing that I'm going to say on this is, I know that right now that there's this legal case pending and all of that stuff, so UKAD need to keep their mouth shut. But UKAD and the British Board of Boxing Control need to help us understand from when this illegal substance was found in the sample that Dillian Whyte provided to when they had their hearing and decided that they were going to let Dillian Whyte fight. What was the process and the thinking and the rationale behind that? How did they flag a sample to say he's got PEDs in his system and then a couple of days later have a hearing and say, you know what, you're cleared? Like, what was the reasoning behind that? What proof did he provide? What evidence did he provide? And I think once we know that information, it will allow us, the fans, and just the media and just everyone, the public at large, to be better positioned to make our judgments. Not that we should be judging, but that's just the nature of human beings. We're all going to make our judgments. But I just think right now we're making judgments on very little information. Just not enough information. Let me know what you guys think. Put your comments below. What do you think about what I've said, and what do you think about the situation? Where do you think they should go from here in terms of Dillian Whyte, UKAD? Should it be banned? Whatever. Yeah, put your comments below. Don't be scared to hit the like button. If you've enjoyed this video, share it with a friend. And obviously, if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. I'll catch you guys in the next one.